RPGs are a massive part of the gaming world today. There are a ton out there, but have you actually played the absolute best? We've put together a list of the 20 greatest RPGs of all time so you can jump right in.
The trash collection service, CS Municipal.
Kicking things off with Disco Elysium, you quickly realize this isn't your standard fantasy romp. Dropping the dragons and magic, it throws you into the messy shoes of an amnesiac detective solving a gritty murder in a politically torn city. The craziest part? Your skills act as literal voices inside your head. Constantly arguing with each other, they completely change how you interact with this weird, dark world. Essentially, it feels exactly like a tabletop role-playing game brought to vivid life. Whether you become a total genius or a complete disaster is entirely up to you. Packing hilarious dialogue alongside deeply philosophical moments, the writing here is absolutely top tier. When it comes to peak monster catching, Pokémon Black 2 and White 2 easily steal the spotlight. Instead of the usual third version rehashes we expected back then, these delivered actual full-blown sequels. Returning to the Unova region 2 years later feels incredibly fresh. Gym leaders have changed, totally new areas are open, and the story actually pushes the lore forward in super interesting ways. Plus, we have to talk about the Pokémon World Tournament. Easily one of the best post-game features ever added. It lets you battle classic gym leaders and champions for pure nostalgia. Balancing fresh exploration with everything hardcore fans crave, this adventure perfectly captures exactly what makes the entire franchise so timeless. Craving a ridiculously huge world to get completely lost in? Look no further than the massive Xenoblade Chronicles series. Spanning multiple games, this franchise delivers sprawling landscapes literally built on the backs of giant, slumbering titans. The sheer scale is honestly mind-blowing. While the combat takes a little time to fully click, chaining together abilities eventually feels incredibly rewarding. What really hooks you, however, is the brilliant, overarching narrative. Weaving together deeply emotional character arcs with crazy philosophical themes, the story across all these games is phenomenal. As a monumental achievement in modern Japanese role-playing games, it demands your attention.
だから君たちならこの道を選ぶだろうと思っていたよ。
To do this.
I knew it was you, Gloomietta. Stop causing trouble.
Holding a special place in the hearts of longtime fans, Tales of the Abyss is pure nostalgia. To be real, the absolute highlight here is the protagonist, Luke Fawn Faber. Starting out as a totally spoiled, annoying brat who knows nothing about the real world, his evolution is amazing. Watching him mature into a genuinely heroic figure remains one of the best character arcs in any game, period. On top of that, the fluid real-time combat lets you run around the battlefield pulling off awesome combos with your party. Driven by a mysterious prophecy, the storyline keeps you constantly guessing until that incredibly heavy emotional payoff at the end. It is a genuine classic capturing that golden era magic. You honestly cannot discuss great storytelling without bringing up the legendary Mass Effect Trilogy. Redefining what choices mean in gaming, this sci-fi epic puts you in the boots of Commander Shepard. Flying across the galaxy, you build a loyal crew of amazing aliens to stop a terrifying cosmic threat. Because every decision carries over between games, the stakes always feel incredibly high. By the time you reach the grand finale, some of these squad mates will legitimately feel like your actual friends. Whether you are blasting enemies from cover or talking your way out of a messy political disaster, the journey is simply unmatched. What else can even be said about an absolute masterpiece like Chrono Trigger? Crafted by a literal dream team of legendary creators, that massive talent totally shines in every single pixel. Traveling through wildly different eras of time, from prehistoric days to a bleak post-apocalyptic future, your mission is to prevent the end of the world. Because the pacing is absolutely flawless, there is zero filler content dragging you down. Featuring incredibly charming characters, a fast, engaging battle system, and a god-tier soundtrack. The whole package is perfection. The fact that it holds up so flawlessly today is honestly crazy. Without a doubt, this remains the golden standard for classic role-playing adventures. Bringing that gorgeous modern retro art style into the mainstream, Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 are visually stunning. Rather than following one big hero saving the universe, you track 8 different characters with completely separate storylines and deeply personal motivations. Relying heavily on finding enemy weaknesses and breaking their shields, the turn-based combat is extremely tactical and deeply satisfying. Specifically, the second game fixes many pacing issues from the original while connecting the cast in much better ways. Combining incredible soundtracks with those beautiful pixel art visuals, both of these adventures serve as total love letters to vintage gaming.
How very true. But if the light of friendship is a form...
Let us dive right into the wonderfully chaotic Kingdom Hearts series. Yes, the overall story is famously complicated, but that wild ride is exactly why fans are so obsessed. Pitching Disney magic crossing over with Final Fantasy angst sounds like a crazy fever dream, yet it somehow works flawlessly. Exploring iconic worlds like Toy Story or Hercules alongside Donald and Goofy brings pure, unadulterated joy. Evolving with every single entry, the flashy action combat is always fast-paced and super engaging. Beneath all the ridiculous lore regarding hearts and darkness, a genuinely beautiful message about friendship truly shines through. Wonderfully chaotic and deeply emotional. This beloved franchise remains a massive staple of the action role-playing genre.
One eradication at Axel's hands was enough to learn.
For those who crave absolutely massive world building, the Trail series is a literal goldmine. Spanning multiple games and deeply intersecting storylines, experiencing this universe is basically the video game equivalent of reading a giant fantasy book epic. Over time, you get to watch the entire continent of Zemuria evolve, with early characters returning later as seasoned veterans. Even though it is super text-heavy and a definite slow burn, the emotional payoff is completely unmatched. Once the political intrigue, rich character development, and intricate turn-based battles get their hooks into you, it becomes ridiculously addictive. Shifting gears slightly, Dragon Quest XI delivers a traditional role-playing experience polished to absolute perfection. Refusing to reinvent the wheel, it instead executes every single classic trope masterfully. Playing as the legendary luminary, you gather a colorful party of quirky friends to defeat a great evil. The entire cast is incredibly endearing, especially Sylvando, who effortlessly steals literally every scene he is in. Making grinding actually feel super enjoyable, the snappy turn-based combat is a blast. Furthermore, the transition to beautiful modern graphics makes exploring the vibrant world a total joy. Warm, cozy, and brilliantly designed, This heartwarming adventure reminds us all exactly why we fell in love with this amazing genre in the first place. Dropping you straight into dark, decaying worlds with barely any guidance, the notoriously brutal Dark Souls series changed the gaming industry forever, forcing you to learn entirely through trial and error. These games are unapologetically tough. Yes, you are going to die repeatedly, but that struggle is exactly the point. That incredible rush of adrenaline after finally conquering a boss that wiped the floor with you for 2 hours is literally unmatched, looping back on itself in mind-blowing ways. The level design is an absolute masterclass in interconnectivity. Oozing pure style from every single menu and battle screen, Persona 5 Royal is an absolute masterpiece. Living a double life, you play as a high school student moonlighting as a phantom thief. By literally breaking into the corrupted minds of awful adults, you force them to change their hearts. Balancing your daytime life of taking exams and hanging out with friends somehow makes the dungeon crawling feel even more impactful. Fast, flashy, and extremely satisfying, the turn-based combat shines when you chain together those awesome all-out attacks. Combined with an incredibly catchy jazz soundtrack, this unforgettable 100-hour journey somehow never overstays its welcome. Talk about an absolutely wild redemption arc. After a ridiculously rocky launch, the developers completely turned Cyberpunk 2077 around. Today, Night City stands as one of the most stunning, immersive, open worlds ever crafted in gaming history. Thrown into a neon-soaked, hyper-capitalist nightmare as V, the freedom is incredible. Whether hacking cameras, slicing enemies with mantis blades, or shooting corporate goons, the gameplay is a blast. Gritty and intense, the storylines are packed with incredibly tough choices that genuinely make you pause. Because you have sheer freedom to build your character, every single playthrough feels totally unique. Right now it shines brightly as a prime example of what a modern action role-playing game should be.
Up their own freedom.
Taking a much-needed trip back in time, Dragon Age Origins is dark fantasy done perfectly. Grabbing you right away, the game features a unique prologue tailored entirely to your chosen race and class. As a newly recruited Grey Warden, your massive task is uniting a deeply divided world against a terrifying monster invasion called the Blight. Demanding serious tactical planning, the combat forces you to pause constantly to issue smart orders to your party. Featuring fantastic banter and deep personal storylines, the companions you meet are ridiculously well written. Because your choices carry heavy consequences that shape Ferelden's political landscape, every decision matters.
Blood magic. I was afraid of.
Reviving the high-fidelity turn-based genre in the most stunning way possible, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is extremely fresh. Set in a beautiful, dark fantasy Belle Epoque world, your mission is critical. Leading a desperate expedition, you are trying to destroy the Paintress before she erases everyone from existence. Brilliantly mixing strategic turn-based commands with active real-time dodging and parrying, the gameplay keeps you completely glued to the screen during fights. Aside from the mind-blowing graphics, the lore surrounding the doomed city is incredibly fascinating, proving that massive innovation still exists within classic game mechanics. This title is something special.
Precision!
Leaving the Final Fantasy VII series off a list like this would be a total crime. Whether discussing the groundbreaking original or the absolutely gorgeous modern remakes, this saga is practically sacred. While Cloud Strife and his massive Buster Sword are wildly iconic, the diverse cast surrounding him is what makes this story truly unforgettable. What starts as taking down a corrupt energy corporation eventually spirals into a mind-bending quest to save the entire planet. Hitting hard every single time, the music is legendary, and the revamped action combat in the new titles feels phenomenally smooth. Blending sci-fi and fantasy flawlessly, it shifted global gaming culture forever and remains an absolute powerhouse of incredible storytelling.
This one always sticks.
Honestly, how many times have we all bought the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim by now? Dropping you into a breathtaking, massive, snowy province, this game literally lets you do whatever you want. Becoming the legendary Dragonborn to save the world is totally optional. If you would rather ignore the main quest entirely to steal sweet rolls and build a weird house, that is cool too. The staggering freedom here is exactly why it remains so beloved. Exploring random caves, fighting literal dragons, and hearing that iconic soundtrack swell never gets old.
I know what you did.
Absolutely shaking the entire gaming landscape recently, Baldur's Gate 3 is a massive, heavy hitter. Basically, this is the closest we have ever gotten to playing a real-life Dungeons & Dragons campaign on a digital screen. The sheer amount of player agency provided here is honestly insane. Rippling outwards, every single decision you make creates wildly different outcomes and character interactions. Rewarding players for thinking outside the box, the brilliantly tactical combat encourages you to use the environment creatively. And those companions? They are easily some of the most beautifully written characters in modern gaming history.
Well, what is it?
Roaming the continent as Geralt of Rivia is an experience that stays with you forever. Missing the absolute top spot by just a hair, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is legendary. Setting this game apart is the incredible, unmatched quality of its side quests. Stumbling into a random village to hunt a basic monster often unravels deeply tragic, morally gray storylines that will genuinely break your heart. Dangerous and politically complex, the world feels incredibly lived in. Slaying horrific beasts feels intensely satisfying, while playing Gwent in random taverns is wonderfully addicting. By perfectly balancing a massive open world with an incredibly tight narrative focus, this masterpiece easily cemented itself as an all-time great. Reaching the absolute pinnacle, Elden Ring takes the crown. Taking their notoriously challenging formula, From Software somehow dropped it into one of the most magnificent open worlds ever created. Staggeringly beautiful yet terrifying. The lands between is packed with hidden secrets around every single corner. Instead of hitting a massive brick wall against a brutally hard boss, you can simply ride your spectral steed in another direction. Exploring, leveling up, and finding cool new weapons feels incredibly organic. With a totally mind-boggling variety of viable character builds, every discovery feels genuinely earned.